One of the greatest sacrifices that we make is the sacrifice in our own physical and cognitive capabilities as we age. And it doesn't have to be that way. This is a graph, and please excuse my artistic talents here, which plots on the XY axis our capabilities on this side versus age over here. And so this first graph that you'll look at is just showing, this is 25, 50%, 75%, and 100% of our ultimate capabilities. And what we find is, as young children, obviously, we ramp up in our capabilities pretty quickly. And so maybe we're 10 years old and we're 50% of our physical capabilities, 15, 75%, right around 18, 20, 25, we're gonna peak out. Now, some people never really get to their full capabilities because they never get the right exercise, they never eat well, and so they never really fully reach their potential. When we're younger, the evolutionary power of the energy for us to be able to add to this species over time gives us a capability. But then what happens is you see that for most people, it begins when they're not exercising to decline in their 30s, mid-30s, and it's a slow decline. And then there's a pretty significant period of time with significant loss of capability. On the flip side, if we're doing the basics, if we're eating well, eating whole foods, eating a variety of foods, making sure we're getting our macro and micronutrients, exercise, you just have to challenge all your physical capabilities. It doesn't have to be anything extreme. Do it on a consistent basis and get enough sleep, which is 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So if we do that, for the most part, we can live pretty significantly with that same physical capabilities way beyond what most people are experiencing. In fact, many people are able to maintain many of their physical capabilities into their 80s and beyond. And so what you see here is it's not even that life extension goes that much further, it's that health span goes that much further. Here you're starting to have a drain on your economic well-being because you're starting to pay for different illnesses, and that's having a consequence here. Also, what happens for many people is you just don't have the physical energy and vitality to continue to do the work. And what I find is that if we're doing this well and we're paying attention to our areas of strength and what we love to do, we should be able to do that for a really significant period of time, especially those that are in kind of white collar type work, right? Or more creative or entrepreneurial or things along those lines. Personal services. If you're doing physical construction work or something along those lines, it may be more difficult to sustain that over time. And so you look at it and say, all of this additional period out here gives you the capacity to stay engaged in work that you love and at the same time being economically rewarded. So let's say out at 55 to 65 years of age, a lot of times people are beginning to think, I want to get out of this. I'm tired. I don't feel good. I don't like waking up in the morning. It's a little achy. And so they leave their career and they have accumulated whatever amount of wealth that they have. On the flip side, if you found a way by paying attention to your purpose, passion, vision, you're using your strengths, you're enjoying your work, you're living in your zone of genius, you can keep working and contributing and being rewarded for that. And if we just looked at the top 10% of income earners that are in that 55 to 65 age range in the United States, it's about $250,000 a year. And so if we looked at that, just the top 10%, not the top 1%, the top 10%, and they just extended their career by doing work they love and being a contribution in ways that make a difference to them, there's an additional $2.5 million. If you're up at the top 1%, it's way over $10 million during that decade. And so what we know is we absolutely can shift the way that we age effectively by a decade or more. This is often the decades of suffering. This is added quality of life. And so when I recognize that it's so easy to get this additional benefit, I'm just encouraging everybody to do it. If you have any questions, you'd like to follow more about how to age powerfully, brilliantly, and joyfully, check me out.